Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to Mystery Fix, where we talk about making your mystery excellent. And today I want to talk about those clues that go nowhere, red herring. So what is a red herring? In logic, a red herring is a fallacy that diverts from the conversation. So it brings up another point to distract the argument. And in the financial world, a red herring is a prospectus that isn't quite complete yet, but it gives potential investors a hint of what's to come. It's not complete. And in a mystery novel, a red herring is a false clue that leads the sleuth away from the villain. And the red herring distracts the reader from knowing the true culprit. So you can see that in a mystery, a red herring is a super tool. The origin of the term is vague. People debate about where it came from, but sometime early in the 19th century, it came about. Some people think it was a journalist who talked about throwing red herrings to hounds to get them off the scent, and then came to represent what we call today fake news. So how do you use red herrings in a mystery? Well, red herrings really test your sleuth's abilities and decision-making skills, because each false trail creates another obstacle for your sleuth, keeping them from discovering the true villain. And if you know just even the tiniest bit about novel writing, you know that obstacles are a great way to keep your reader engaged. So use red herrings in your mystery as a device in the middle section of your story, and that's the bulk of your story. And when you build a strong protagonist, the reader will believe as the protagonist does. So I think the very first step in getting your red herring to work is to have a very strong protagonist, because that way readers identify with your protagonist and they want to follow along as your sleuth tries to discover the killer. So here are some examples of using red herrings to build suspense for your reader, because each one of those obstacles builds suspense. So I'm just going to give you a few ideas of how you can create red herrings for your sleuth. So an innocent character has a strong motive to kill the victim. We discover in this suspect character, you give them reasons to really hate the victim. It could be jealousy, envy, a large debt unpaid, a stolen wife or girlfriend. There's many ways to come up with a way to make an innocent suspect look very, very guilty. And then another way is to have a character who has the appearance of having committed the murder. And oftentimes that's because they were nearby, they have no alibi, or they were scheduled to meet with the victim right about the time that the murder occurred, or a witness saw them leave the scene of the murder. So anyway, it's like all these things point to an innocent character being at the scene of the crime. And also, a red herring can just be a thing. It just doesn't have to be just your suspects. It can actually be an object, a piece of evidence that looks like it's pointing towards someone, but doesn't. And this can be for a number of reasons. It can be a letter that someone discovers written to a person with the same name as one of the suspects. And so your sleuth thinks, well, this letter filled with vitriol or demanding payment for a debt or whatever it might be is to one of the suspects, but it's really written to somebody else. That's just an example. Or an earring. There's an earring on the ground at the murder scene, and it matches an earring of one of the suspects, but it turns out that maybe it's a style fad and lots of people wear these earrings, or the suspect only wears one earring, and so he has that one earring, and the other earring came from someplace else. Or it can be a loan document that creates a suspicion about a character, and only later the sleuth discovers the loan has been paid. So anyway, there's lots of ways to use these objects, these found items, as red herrings. And another way to create a red herring is to create a clue that presents conflicting evidence. So it may appear early in your mystery and it seems to have bearing on a suspect, but as your sleuth follows along with this conflicting red herring, he discovers that the first clue is valid. So it's a clue that validates an earlier clue that the sleuth thought was inconsequential. Let's put it that way. But these are just examples. But the essence of the red herring you use in diverting attention from the real clues and the right suspect. That's what you want to do, is to just build up these obstacles that keep diverting your sleuth and your reader from the right suspect. So I do want to say that you want to limit your red herrings in your story, and they're really fun to create and they add, but if you add too many in your story, you'll frustrate your reader because they keep going down these false paths. And all of a sudden, your sleuth, your story, and your reader are going nowhere. So you want to position your red herrings among real clues, real suspects, so your reader is like, oh, come on, another one? You don't want that response to your story. So aim to keep a balance between real evidence and clues and the false ones. And I would say have no more than 3 red herrings total in your mystery, because readers love a puzzle, but they don't like to be tricked. And that's the balance that you, the writer, need to create. So make sure the red herrings you create integrate with the overall theme and mystery of this particular story. Otherwise, they'll feel like tacked on, added on, to pad the story rather than adding to the story. Certainly don't want that to happen. And the same holds true for too many false starts. Your reader will feel they're being cheated from solving the crime. And you need to create a balance between frustrating your sleuth and losing your reader. On the other hand, Mystery readers expect red herrings. They're one of the tropes of mysteries. And they love to follow your hero's challenges. They enjoy rooting for your sleuth and discovering how he meets each challenge to solve the crime. So that's why, 2 or 3 red herrings are like, challenges to your sleuth. But if you have too many, it's kind of frustrating, and your readers will get annoyed. Actually, they'll be annoyed. So make sure that you keep your readers guessing with well-placed false clues that are inherent to your story. I think that's the key to using red herrings. All right, that's it for Mystery Fix today. Thanks so much for joining me. As always, if you have questions, feel free to get in touch. Thanks so much.